Nice job, that was good.
We had 45 seconds to speak.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey, all I can say is there wasn't 25 API slides, so that was, thank God. That my eyes were gonna bleed from last time.
See, that's already a positive.
Yeah, no,
Right?
I knew it couldn't get any worse. There was no API slides.
Your API slides are famous now, so
Yes.
that's awesome.
Infamous.
So what did you think? What's something that you did well?
I think I did good making it relatable based on previous conversations I have had with the customer.
Mhm.
I didn't just throw things together and think that they would stick. I knew these were topics that
Yep.
we have discussed and kind of added on top of those discussions.
Yep.
So I'd say,
And
made
I
it
could tell
relevant.
it was very much established in fact, right? It's stuff you know about the customer. You were conversational. They were going to be nodding their head during that meeting, right? So I would agree. Who else? What do you think? What did you do well?
I thought there was a moment in time where you threw him off his game. You asked him a question, you challenged him, but I thought you did a great job of kind of taking a second, pausing, and then getting back in.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's hard to do.
And those are objections, right? I mean, I'm doing that on purpose. And so do customers. They do it on purpose all the time because they like to object to things that they're being asked to do, right? So staying in that moment, usually asking a question, like, what do you mean by that? Gives you time to think, lets you recover a little bit, and then you come back with your replies. So I thought you did a nice job too. What do you think? Something good?
Yeah, I think that you can just really tell that you understand the customer supply chain and how you're able to build rapport at the beginning. You really can tell that you have a good relationship with them. So the solutions that you're providing them, they actually fit in with their supply chain.
Good deal. Good deal. How about you, Brian? What do you think? Something good, man.
I think that I liked your agenda, I'll be honest with you. I thought that was really good for you. I thought that was like, here's what we've done for you, here's what we can do for you today, and here's what we can do for you in the future. So you laid out a step of process that was going to give them a kind of a plan on how to attack this thing, right? And you had some thoughts for them on what you thought would fit for them.
Mhm.
So I thought that was great.
Absolutely, and I'm going to slide some props over to Molly, that Molly's looking at this stuff and saying, how can I help you guys get some rhythm? And I'm seeing that throughout each of them as you kind of have that rhythm at the beginning, right? And I think you guys are buying into that and you're feeling it a little bit. So I agree.
Because these QBRs really, like we talked about, right? What have you done for them? What can you do for them today? And what can you do for them in the future? I mean, that's really the sense of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's outlining and making it as to the point as much as you possibly can, and quantifying along the way exactly what you've done, what you're going to do today, and then what you're going to do later on for them. What's the impact? What's going to make them want to do these things? Or why are they glad that they did this stuff that they did in the past?
Right.
Lou, I got a comment.
Yeah.
What I really liked was in the beginning when it showed how much you paid attention to the account, when you said, I cleaned up the accounts and took the ones off. You know, that's like giving them a piece of candy right off the bat. You're showing them something you did immediately, and that's, that is our job, and it's showing that you're really paying attention and you're doing everything you can to make sure that you're saving them money.
You care about the customer.
Yeah. There's another thing, he tied billing solution to pain, which was their account suspended. Now you're going to really pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we got there on that piece, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. So now, what would you do differently? One thing, the most important thing through the whole thing, if you had to pick one thing, what would you do different?
I think probably try to be a little more concise. I talk a little too much. I feel like it was a little too wordy.
Okay. Which is a hard thing to work on in general,
Yeah.
right? Usually that's a symptom.
Mhm.
It's either you're unsure or you don't necessarily feel as confident in what you're presenting as maybe you should be. That would or sometimes not being specific to the customer and their role. All of those things can cause some of the rambling to happen. I wouldn't necessarily call that out as a specific behavior for you to work on, I think it's more of a symptom. Okay. So let's try and get down to something different. What do you guys think? What'd you say? What was most important, most impactful in there that you think could change? Sandeep, what do you think?
To change, or what was most impactful? I'm sorry.
Well, what would be the most impactful thing for him to change in his delivery to do a better job? What does he need to change? Or even a moment that you just thought didn't go as good as it could have?
I think the mode optimization got a little messed up. He wanted to go somewhere else, obviously. You took him somewhere else. And it's probably a lingering issue for you. And I don't think there is a resolution out there, okay, we can look at it versus, so if it doesn't get looked at, it's in the back of your head.
Okay, so let's key around that word. When you say you're going to look at it, what did you really just say to me?
You haven't looked at it yet.
You didn't look at it yet.
Yeah.
And are you making any commitment to me?
No.
No,
Nothing. You're being intentionally vague. So either you lack confidence in your ability to get it, or you're trying to pull a fast one and slide something in on me when I asked you for something else. I told you what I wanted. I wanted better rates. I don't know, I wasn't there at the table, but I'm willing to say they didn't say we have a cost containment initiative around UPS. I think that was the way you termed it. You'll have to go back and look. I think they said, can you give me a better rate? Yeah. Okay. So there's no reason for you to make what they said sound different. That's what they said, that's what they wanted. What you're really saying is, okay, when you ask me for that rate, I'm interpreting that as a lower cost.
Right.
I think I have a way to lower that cost. Okay, so that's not bad. It's a good option to bring in here. Let's get a little more into the detail. Why did that piece fail then? Brian, what do you think? What went wrong here with mode optimization?
Well, how much more of an impact would it have been if you would have had the actual numbers up front and you've been able to say, okay, here's what I'm looking at. You have all these next day air shipments or, whatever for zone 2, zone 3 maybe, and you would have been able to grab that data from zip codes, what we have inside, right? And you'd have been able to shift this over to ground, and you'd have been able to say, look, you take all of this and you move it into ground, and you're gonna get there in the same one day as well. If time doesn't matter by the time of the day, here's what you're looking at the savings. Now, I can lop off, what's the difference between a next day air package and a ground package right now? What's the cost?
Probably $10.
You think so?
No, more than that.
What's go publish the publish.
Oh,
Publish the
publish.
publish. Tell me right now what a next day air rate goes for.
Let me pull up
Probably
the
5
rates.
times. I don't know. I'm just getting a thought.
$50.
You guys are all salespeople, nobody knows what a next day air goes for?
Well, where's it going?
Alright, it's a good point.
How much it weighs?
Average, well, what's their average?
Dimensional divisor,
Okay, so what's their average weight?
10 pounds.
Okay, 10 pounds. So what do you think a 10-pound next day air package is?
Going where?
Zone 2.
At 4.
Zone 5.
Three, zone 2 or zone 2?
Zone 2 or
Zone
3?
2.
35 bucks.
No,
No.
more than that.
10
Here, I'll
bucks.
check
10
it out.
pounds
$10.
package.
Yeah.
No.
I don't
Looking
know.
at 50
Hold
plus.
up, I wanna know exact, I wanna know.
I'll bet it's more than
It's
that.
probably like 80 or 90.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah, it's not like a 1 pound.
With no incentive.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
just
just pull
publish.
it. I just wanna know what it would be for.
Alright, so for ground, a 10-pound package going zone 2, you're saying?
I want a next day air package, zone 2.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
I meant ground first, because I'd had
Right.
that page memorized. 10-pound package going zone 2 for ground, just normal commercial ground is $10.84.
Okay.
Why is it ever $10.84 when I go to the UPS dealership?
Daily standard rates.
Trying to determine the rate you put this, and it goes down.
Oh, you
like
can do this.
domestic, and then next day here, I think.
Next day.
So
10 pounds,
10
zone 4.
Yeah.
Zone 4 or zone 2?
Two.
Zone 2.
$102.42.
102.
Oh no, that's zone 4. Zone 2 is $45.
Alright.
Oh,
Oh.
10 off.
For 10 pounds?
Yeah, it's like 43, 44.
$43.
Yeah.
So if that's
So
50% off, that'll be
43, what'd you
50
say,
bucks.
43, 44?
Yeah. So you're saving
43,
$33.
44 minus 10,
3260.
So 3260. Now, I obviously it's published, but you see what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say here is that now you've got 32. Now, depending on how many air packages that they're sending there, now shifting that down. Now we can blow this up. I don't know how. Do you know how many air packages they do on a weekly, yearly basis? Do you have any idea?
Yearly, I think they just did over 1,000.
All right, there you go, 1,000. $32,600 right there from and I'm just hypothetical. They might not all be in a zone 2, so I have no idea. But if that's the case, now you're able to show them from the optimization. But you have to, in order to lay this out, it has to be laid out to where what's the benefit to the customer, and you should need to know if you're going to position it.
Right.
And I'll step back on what I always say: don't ask a question or don't position something if you don't know the answer to it. Right? If you're a lawyer and you put somebody on the stand and you don't know what the heck they're going to say, you're not going to put them on the stand, right? Because they're going to say something, you're going to go, "Oh crap! What am I going to do now?" That didn't go how I planned it. No. But you want to be able to put that out there to say, "Look, this is what the potential is, based on what we're looking at."
So let's play it out from this moment, because it happened the way it did. You didn't do the math, okay? You don't know the impact, and you put it on the top of the slide. This is the number one thing you're going to do to me to offset my price objection.
Right.
So in 2 days, you did the analysis, and you come back, and it is $33,000. What do you guys think? Am I going to be unhappy when I get the phone call at the customer? I'll be good with 33 grand, right?
Yeah.
Let's knock that baby out and let's be done. What if he does the math and it's $800?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's not enough to make you move.
So I want you to consider your conversation with me now. When you look at that bottom line, Ahmad just sent you the sheet and it says $800. Now you're picking up the phone to call me.
Yeah.
How's it gonna go?
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably just say, like, we took a look at the way you're doing things, everything that there are some savings that we could do, but
Yeah.
the way you are doing things are the best way. Let's take a look at your rates and see what we can do. Based on the tier bands and stuff. That's honestly
Okay.
probably how I would do it.
Okay.
But
And-
to your point, though,
Right.
if you would have run those numbers and you saw that it was only $800,
I wouldn't have
would you have led with this?
No. I probably
You
would.
could have used it. I mean, I would say you don't even, I'm not saying you don't use it. You could throw it in somewhere and say, hey, this is an option. You want to save $800, whatever. I mean, you can move. Hey, I noticed that some of these are in zone 2. There's not that many. There's a few, but if you move them to the ground, it could save you a little bit more money there. It's not your headliner,
Right.
but you can still use it. Now you figure this out. You got a new headliner, right? Now you got to figure out a new way to get their attention, because this is the future, right? And the only future you have right now is you're going to give them customer technology program, CTP, and $800 in mode optimization, possibly. Is that a game changer? So I think it helps you. It helps you define your agenda and your theme. I think you talked earlier about a theme. Didn't you say that earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now your theme for the future is not going to be that. It's going to be something else you're going to have to look for, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I agree.
I would also say if it was $33,000 and you had that in your back pocket for the entire conversation, it would make you more confident throughout the conversation, because you knew using this, you're going to save that guy over 30 grand. That's something that's going to be extremely beneficial to him to show to his boss. Hey, look, I went with UPS. We saved 30 grand. So
Molly, what do you think?
makes you feel
Well, no,
better.
I think, so we probably should analyze it, Taylor, when we met.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we did talk about was we weren't 100% sure if they needed the 1030 commit, because if the 1030 commit is significant, then
Yeah.
you don't need to do the analysis. So maybe we should have positioned it a little differently as like learning about the commit before we did and then you could have come back
Maybe
with the
just
next
look-
quarter. Now that I'm like looking at this.
Not
thinking,
putting even a financial impact, saying, hey, you had mentioned the cost savings, this is something I can take a look at, is that something you want to proceed with, type thing, just posing that question in the conversation.
So I guess then let's frame this as a bigger thing than just mode optimization. Anything you need to quantify at a customer. If you have everything in your power to do it, there is absolutely no excuse to walk through the customer's door without having done it. If you need something from them to get it done, it's a perfect time to build tension, because I want that number. Well, if you say to me, well, Lou, I know you want the number. The only way I'm gonna understand that is I gotta get deeper with your customer service people to understand why next day or 10:30 is being selected. My guess is with most of my customers, it's the first one at the top of the list. So they're probably overpaying to begin with that. But without that contact in customer service to understand that, I can't help you with this. Who should I talk to? I just made a trade, right? I'll get you the data you need if you get me another contact, which by the way helps for other reasons, right?
Exactly.
Because we are sitting talking to an operations guy, and we put up a slide about, e-commerce expansion and everything that I'm sure he shared with you, but is surely not engaged to the level that he wants to do that.
Right.
I was like,
No, I saw that.
are you kidding me?
You started to read it. So.
Right? So I don't want to jump there, because that's what I want you to be focused on.
Okay.
Understanding when you should or shouldn't quantify, and then what should fill that gap. Right?
From a quantification standpoint, I just want to say something too, is what I'm noticing, and we noticed it earlier in some of the other ones, is that we're putting the generic description of what the solution is, and it reads almost like the brochure or whatever. It would be, do you think it'd be more impactful if you're able to talk to exactly what their process is? Right?
Yep.
Can you go back to a quick slide here real fast?
Where you want?
Which one was it? The one before that, I think? Yeah, I mean, so.
I mean, all the titles are kind of similar.
Right, so visibility solutions, right? I think I even wrote this down on here, is that you had some questions about it, and when it wasn't there, it wasn't kind of clear about how we got to the savings. If you said,
Bobby.
Bobby?
Bobby.
Yeah, hey, Bobby's doing, 25 of these a day, and there's no notification, the customers aren't getting this, we've got customer service calling it, whatever that is. You could have listed that out, and that would have then shown them exactly why this is important to them at that point. Instead of just saying, get detailed visibility for inbound, outbound, third party, and imports across small package, LTO, and freight forward. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is why you need it. This is why we put it in place, is because Bobby's spending this much time tracking, this is what it was costing us, and here's what the impact is to you. And I think they're all kind of like that, because they all have that.
Look at the bottom box. Customer technology program. How about money for buying new equipment?
Well, reduced price with UPS funding.
Right, I mean, it's just off the top of my head, but I mean, it's not a customer technology program. That's a silly name we have for something internally so that I can make it into an acronym and tell you I'm gonna measure you on it or something, right? CTPs and all that. They don't care about a customer technology program. They care that you have funds available to them to purchase new equipment. That's what it is to them. So it's really just being customer centric. So I think you can handle two customer centric titles, because everybody's gonna kind of hear that and start putting that in. But that understanding when to quantify and when to trade for information to quantify is a really important thing. That should get you hung up.
So customer-centric titles and quantification is basically what we're working on for the next.
Yep. Cool.
And then you know what that'll help you do too, Taylor? You said you want to get concise. This will start to bring this down and can make it concise in the presentation, because you don't need, I'm sorry, go back a couple more here. To me, you've got these things are going like this. We could probably put everything implemented, boom, one thing, the next thing, boom, all, you know what I'm saying? Probably all together at that point. Make it concise, make it easy for them to understand, make it easy for them to read. We really don't have to read anything. We don't need the paragraphs. All you need is really the numbers that are inside there. And I think it'll change the direction, and you won't get the pushback from people as well too. Of like, how the heck did you get there? Is this really doing something for me? Or is this just a bunch of words that are out there? You know?
Cool.
Because, and I don't mean to be a dead horse, but Lou said earlier, the more that you have on there to read, the more he's gonna read. But if he's got numbers on there, it's easy to read a line of numbers. Oh, okay, spent this much time, 10 hours. Oh, it would cost me this much here. Oh, this is what they're thinking. It's a lot easier to glance over and see it versus reading a paragraph. Okay,
Good stuff.
nice job.